you go on a missions trip?
I went to Thailand for 3 weeks in 2008, and I went to the island of Borneo. It has three countries on it, and we went to Indonesia and to Malaysia for 3 months.
We went to San Lucas in Guatemala for 2 weeks.
I went to Guatemala on a missions trip for 2 weeks.
I went to Chihuahua, Mexico for 2 weeks.
Anything about your lifestyle now that has changed since you've come back from your missions trip?
Yeah, you realize when you're gone for 3 months and you only have one backpack with 2 pairs of shorts, 2 shirts, and your deodorant, and like that's all you have for 3 months. You realize you don't need as much, you know, like they really live with nothing. We had nothing for 3 months and it was fine. We still were alive. We were able to survive and like be happy. So you realize that, yeah, you don't need a lot. And so, yeah, I gave away a lot of my stuff. And you also look and see a lot of the greed that's around, and you just feel kind of sick inside. Like I still feel kind of weird and sick inside when people are like, oh, give me more, and like the celebrities and that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, it really bothers me a lot more.
I'm more grateful for what I have. Seeing these people who, like, their toy is a battered doll or a few pieces of Lego, and I see what I had growing up and I think, wow, I had a lot, more than I thought I did. So yeah, I noticed the little things and the big things too, more grateful for what I have, definitely.
Lots of changes about your lifestyle, because you're, like when I was in Mexico, we were seeing all these children, these orphans, widows, different people who had just families even, that had hardly any food, any water, anything. There was no running water in most places, and then you come home and you open your cupboard and you see all this food, and then 2 weeks before that I would have looked in my cupboard and said, oh, there's nothing to eat right now. But then this time I open my cupboard and I see rice and I see pasta and I see food, and you know, and there's always something, and it's so crazy because your mindset changes to like, oh, there's nothing convenient, to oh, there's nothing at all. There's a big difference between those two things.
I would definitely encourage people to go on a missions trip, especially when you're younger. I would say like the younger the better. I mean, not saying that when you're older it's not good as well, but I just really encourage like the younger generation to step out and go. Like if you have the chance, just do it.
Absolutely, I'd encourage them to go. It's a life-changing experience. I think if the person really felt in their heart that God wanted them to go, I think they have to respond to that call and what God's placed in their heart.
The moment that stuck out the most for me was we were carrying the construction materials up to the site where we were going to build the house, and all the neighborhood kids came out and helped us carry all these materials. And there was this 2-year-old girl who came up and she carried her little cup of sand up the hill, and I can still see that happening, so that really stuck out to me.
Well, we went into this one men's prison, and when I got there I was like, oh man, this is gonna suck. Like, we're coming in there with our little youth group songs that we're going to play for them and just to talk to them. It's like, we don't know what it's like to have a hard life. And so I really didn't think anything was going to happen. And then we did a couple songs, and everyone really paid attention, and even though they weren't that amazing, they really connected. And then a few people started talking and just sharing their testimony about what they had gone through in life and the hardships that they had faced and how Jesus really saved them from those things and got them out of that. And as they did, different guys, even though other people around there were like laughing and joking, different guys would stand up out of their chairs and come up to the front and ask to get prayed for. I know a number of them got saved, and even though a lot of them were getting laughed at, even the ones that were laughing at, by the end had stood up and were coming up and they were bawling their eyes out as we just prophesied over them. And these big guys who've been in jail, it was a youth prison, so these were like between the ages of 14 and I think 18. And these big guys that had to be so tough and so, I don't know, macho the whole time, when we started releasing the love of God over them, they just received it and their lives were changed. And that changed our lives too.
One of the stories that really impacted me the most when I was there was this little girl, and her name was Paulina as well. She was about 2 or 3, and her hair was just full of lice, and it was dirty and it was gross, and she was sitting beside me, and I just really felt like God was like, hey, you have to do her hair, because like no one ever takes time to even do her hair. And I was like, wow, really? Like it just blew my mind that no one would take time to do that. And so I just really felt like God was like, hey, you have to go and you have to do her hair, even if it's so gross and disgusting to you. And I was like, okay, fine, and I just did it, and I like humbled myself, and I went down and I did her hair in little French braids, and like I'll never forget like just the reaction on her face of just like joy and like happiness. It's something that I'll carry with me forever.
We were in this one village, and the kids, there was probably like 50 to 100 kids there, and they were just around us all the time. We were very tired. It had been a long week, and we were staying in this church, and all the windows they didn't have curtains. There was a few windows going like this, and they all had bars. And we were sleeping, and then we wake up and we hear chattering in voices, and we look to the windows, and there's all these kids looking in on us and whispering about us, and it was very unnerving. But then so we all kind of hid in the church for a while, not wanting to go out because there were so many kids, and it was very overwhelming. And I just really felt like God was saying to me, no, you need to go out and interact with these kids. They're the reason why you came. You need to reach out to them. So I was actually the only one that went out and joined them, and there's so many, but it was amazing because I really wanted to know each kid individually. I wanted to learn all their names, so that's what I started with, because I just pointed to one kid. It's like, I won't say it in Indonesian. What's your name? And they said their name back to me, and so I repeated it, and I repeated it a couple times, and like that kid's face was ecstatic that I repeated his name back to him. And then the next one, I learned her name, and so I just learned all these kids' names, and of course I didn't remember 50 kids' names, but I remembered at least 10, which was really cool because I remembered them throughout the 3 days that we were there, and I would go back and be like, hi Lita, hi Chia, and they would be like, oh my goodness, she knows my name, and they would come up and hug me, and they all learned my name. And then at one point, because I wasn't sure how to pronounce some of them, we actually sat down, and in the stand we wrote down our names, and that was really cool because it just really helped me connect on a more deeper level with them. And so those kids of that village are still to this day my favorite village. I got to know them really well. We tried to learn each other's languages. Like I would ask them a word in Indonesian, and then they would ask me a word in English, and we would just sit back and we would start laughing, and like it was really cool. And yeah, I love those kids, and I wish I could go back to say hi to them again. And yeah.
Yeah, I definitely go back, whether it be to Guatemala or anywhere else, because it was a life-changing experience, and if it was right for me to go, then I'd love to go anywhere on a missions trip again.
Would I ever? I love mission trips. Those are my favorite things. I love seeing how other people work, how other people live, all the different cultures. I love it. Of course I would go back.
Yes, I want to go back to Thailand for sure. And I would also really, really like to go to Zimbabwe after. I dare you to move.
I dare you to move.
Dare you to move.
I dare you to move.